Hey, somebody gave me some licorice. It tastes like anus. So I threw up. So there you go. Testedora, escuch. Eh? Anybody? Nobody?
It's time for a little Funky Friday. From their funky hidden headquarters, your hosts, Keith and Gerry. Not Gerry.
Yeah, there you go. It's Friday. Happy Friday. It's a good Friday.
Yeah,
Everybody
so-
is having a good day. Well, Martin isn't feeling so good today. I don't know why he's still here. He said he had to go.
I'm going to
I
I
say
told him
until I
multiple
can't.
times to fuck off and get rest.
And that is how I get fired.
Tell me what to do. That's Martin.
And that is how I get fired on air and by the boss girlfriend.
I'll show you. I'll die.
No, just Jesus, get rest.
So
Hey, look at this.
Keith is not here. I've been trying to call him. He's asleep. And ain't nothing gonna wake him up. Nothing. Nothing, I tell you, nothing. So our facts guy that does the show isn't here. So I don't know what to do. I mean, we can talk about these things, but he's the facts guy. So
We can just make shit up.
You know, Valiant Renegade's video on it was really good. But we know that I almost want, because I was doing the Italian, so now I want to go Carla Giorgino. No, it's Gina Carano. She's suing Disney, and why I suspect is more of a power play than anything. And from everything I've read, she wants back in. And I said to you before that once they announce the movie, I guarantee you Jon Favreau is already putting a phone call into her. I think that all of this is connected. The announcement of the movie, Jon Favreau being in charge of it, that suddenly Kathleen Kennedy is once again back in the background. I think that we're going to see finally a shift of power over there. Because it's either got to take place, because we don't need another repeat of Sherry Redstone with CBS. You know, she's trying to sell it off now to or lease it out to Warner Brothers. So we'll see what happens over there. But with this one, this is interesting because it's backed by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is making clear threats to Disney, Bob Iger. So there's something going on. And if you watch Valiant Renegade or Culture Casino or any of the guys, I'm telling you, keep your eyes peeled on this. It's going to get interesting. This lawsuit is clearly part of a means to get her back into Star Wars. She's trying to prove people wrong. We've already heard through the release of and a threat of release of emails that what's her name from the Acolyte was involved in the negative attacks on her.
Leslie Headland.
Headland, that she was directly involved and paid for the assaults on Carano. So I've been consistently in her camp from day one because it was wrong what they did.
How much of this conspiracy went on Twitter where he already has the information?
He's read some of these DMs.
Well, that's what Elon has alluded to, and that people who are aware of him, paying attention to him, are saying that he's already got these emails. And we'll see. But, some of those emails are clearly something that Gina Carano might be have had access to, maybe because of Jon Favreau. But John created that character for her, and he did not like that she was removed. The only person that's verbally stood up for her, because John had to protect his assets, so he kept quiet. But we just lost the one person who stood up for her is Carl Weathers. He verbally stood up for her. And nobody wants to mess with the old black guy. Like, that's a no-win situation for them. So, I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening. They made a huge mistake in how they let her go. They were so clever. No, this is all going to come back, man. Say something.
No, I affirmed. I'm with you on that one. I think that if they can prove some kind of conspiracy to get rid of her, because that would constitute your classic hostile workplace. You've got people speaking freely and politically, and her speech was rather guarded and not overly political. She was, at least in context of the tweets.
Well, and you've had people in social media and in the media attacking her as of late, saying, well, she said and did these things. It's like, no, she didn't.
Yeah. The public take on what she's alleged to have said and what she actually said are light years apart.
Because she didn't actually say anything. She quoted another person's post.
I think she quoted a droid. It seemed to be a response from a droid. She just like seemed to be dismissing the person as a bot, was my take on it when it happened. I'm like, oh, she must have thought this was just a bot attacking her or something. Because it seemed like it was something R2 would say.
I'm just telling you, this is going to turn out in favor for her. Jon Favreau is going to be able to move forward because Carl Weathers is dead, man. And he was going to be central in some of the planning and plotting that was going on with Mandalorian for Favreau. I mean, season 3, they may as well just throw that season away because it's clearly not Favreau. Favreau is credited with writing it. Well, he's credited with writing Boba Fett, and we know that's not true either. It was the Star Wars writers group.
Did you see the tweet of the bingo card that you had to do 3 of 6 and 3 of 5 of every color category from top to bottom to do your production right from Disney that Elon tweeted out?
Yeah, I saw that. Yes, see, and that just shows that he's got more than people know because that was private. That was
it's easy to believe
public consumption.
It's easy to believe, but he's also such a wily businessman that he may have, who knows if it's, you know what I mean? There are tactics as well. He might be engaging in a tactic as well.
I doubt it.
He's smart.
It wouldn't be helpful.
It's easy to believe that's real.
I absolutely 100% believe it's real. If he released it, it's real. I don't think he would risk all that on a fib.
I'm with you on that. It doesn't make sense.
I wouldn't rule out in the future everybody using gamesmanship to try to gain an advantage in this. That would be my only thing on that. Like I said, I'm inclined to believe it.
I'm only inclined to believe it because I don't think that someone in his position would risk using that. He would, because he tends to be. The facts are behind him, and he's a facts guy. That's the thing I like about him. He's in the spectrum, dude, and it impacts those of us that are in the spectrum in a weird way that we tend to be overly honest. To the point of being blunt.
I would say the thing that we all can see is that bingo card makes for the kind of mess that we've seen from these movies. That absolutely explains too much to be dismissed that easily. It has to be considered.
Yeah. So the way it's written here, I just pulled up the Hollywood Reporter, which is just one of the worst news rags in the world.
They're agitating most of the time.
Yeah. They're shills. for the studio. They're paid by the studios. So this is a discrimination and wrongful termination lawsuit. And they created a corrosive, toxic work environment. So I'm telling you, she's going to have a field day with this lawsuit. And she doesn't
But she
need
didn't have the
money
same rights.
because people keep forgetting how fucking rich her family is.
Mhm.
They own like between 7 and 10% of Las Vegas. I mean, they're
Really?
filthy fucking rich. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All I knew is she was from Texas.
No, she doesn't
she
need
went to
damn
high
time.
school in
Her
Texas.
family is ass deep in Vegas casinos. He will be, when her parents are gone, a casino heiress is what she's going to be.
Okay.
So,
They picked the wrong person to mess with.
yeah. And so we're seeing this, and it's going to come back to bite other people in the ass too, because don't forget the false narrative that Pablo Pascal created at the exact same time, where he used a photo that was actually from, I think it was from the Middle East, with kids in little cages, and says, "This is how we treat our illegal immigrants. This is how we treat them."
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, not only are you full of shit, you used a photo from somebody else in another country in the way they treat another person from another country. So no,
Useful idiot.
nobody said anything to Pablo Pascal. But boy, she shared that picture that it wasn't soldiers that attacked the Jewish citizens of Germany. It was their fellow citizens, women, children that attacked them. It's true. It's historically true. But oh my God, and they're the quickest ones to yell Yahtzee at people. But they attacked the shit out of her for daring to claim that their behavior is Yahtzeeistic because, of Yahtzees and the left. And it's true,
And she wasn't even talking about the regular people on the left. She was talking about the establishment.
Mhm.
The message is the government was the one that put one half of the population against the other.
Yep. And that's a good point. Because, she was being, and she didn't make this meme. She shared this meme. And we're now seeing where people are getting into trouble from the government, getting investigated. We have a guy who he made a meme, and it was funny. It's a funny meme, but the meme has got him in trouble, and he may go to prison for it.
10
Can you
years of
imagine it?
prison.
In a country that claims to be freedom, we have liberty, we have freedom of speech, because we don't have actual freedom in this country when it comes down to it. You're not free to do whatever the fuck you want. We have liberty, but people forget that the government doesn't give us power. People in government think they gave us this power. It's like, no, we're born with it. We have the inalienable right from birth as Americans to have liberty. We have free speech. And the only people who think we should have free speech are the people that want to control free speech. Hey, it's White Keith.
How's it going, man?
It's okay, buddy. Keith's the other Keith fell asleep and he's not waking up. I tried calling him. He's out, man. He had a busy day. He had an appointment like at 11 o'clock and he didn't get out of it until after 12. And then he swung by to drop my medication off. And I'm like, he was trying to talk to me. I said, go get some sleep. He said, well, make sure to call me 30 minutes before the show. That didn't happen, but I've been trying. I'll try it again here real quick. Let's see what happens.
A for effort.
I always find it funny when I call him and he answers and he's like all like just waking up. And I like people to hear what he sounds like when he wakes up. Yeah, he doesn't always sound cool.
I don't think any of us sound cool when we're just waking up.
I have a defense mechanism response when somebody wakes me up to where I sound like I've been awake when I'm not. Oh, here we go. Phone's ringing. Let's see what happens. Oh, I think he accidentally shut the thing down because normally it just keep on ringing, but not that time. It actually stopped. It'll happen sometimes when someone goes to answer but isn't quite awake enough and they hit the wrong button. Try another way. What happens? This should be fun. It's always fun.
Hello?
Keith?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're live right now and I'm calling you. I finally got through to you. I've been trying to call you for a while. You gonna be able to join us?
Oh. Yeah, I will be there momentarily.
Yeah, okay, buddy. Don't break your knee on anything getting here, okay?
You got it.
All right, bye.
So we're officially a reality show.
That's what he sounds like when I wake you up. Hole. So we're talking about Gina Carano right now and the lawsuit against Disney.
Yeah, I've been listening. Did you guys see that it looks like Leslie Headland was funding a lot of the attacks?
Yeah, she was behind and funding
Yeah.
the attacks on her.
Yeah.
So aside from looking like a Lego, she's also very mean.
Yeah.
And so
it's going to
I
get
believe it's going to get very colorful. This is going to be finally some fun at Disney's expense. And you cannot hemorrhage money like they have for a decade.
No.
And not be in trouble. Because they bought Star Wars in 2014, or they put out the film. They bought it in 2012. And they had to borrow money to pay for Lucasfilm. Because a lot of people don't know this. Keith and I have talked about it, that the money that was supposed to go into marketing John Carter went into Star Wars. That's why that movie flopped. Because all that marketing just went away and it was not marketed correctly. They paid for certain marketing and it just wasn't enough. And that film flopped. And it's a good film.
Yeah.
I like the film John Carter. So I see Don Don's here. Lady V is here. Yeah, we're gonna have a little Super Bowl thing. We did that last year. Do it again this year. I got some meatballs
What?
today. So yeah, you
Oh my
actually
God.
sat
I'm
on
going
video
to
with
have
us
to watch football. Yeah.
last year. You sat and watched part of the Super Bowl with me.
You made me.
No, I didn't make you.
You were like, if you want date night to continue, you'll have to watch the game with us. So I was like, okay, I don't give zero shit about that game.
Yeah, I didn't make you. I didn't put a gun to your head. So, but anyway, this is going to be interesting to see what happened. Leslie Headland's probably going to be one of them thrown under the bus. Bob Iger is in so much trouble. And I cannot believe how much trouble he is in right now.
I think
he's got 3 people after him right now.
I think they're going to try to settle with Gina out of court.
Well, of course they're going to. That's the
She's
goal.
not asking for a lot. She wants like what, $75,000?
She wants her job back. She wants to be reinstated, and she wants an apology.
I don't know why she would
And
want.
she wants those people that were involved to be removed. I'm guaranteeing you, this is what she's going after. The interesting thing on this is Elon is very interested in Disney. He took a shot at Disney a few weeks back, if you remember, when he said the infamous, I love them, I consider them famous words, go fuck yourself. That was directed right at Bob Iger.
Oh, yeah. He even said, hi, Bob. He waved at him in the audience.
Yep. So, and his money is backing up those who want to bring Bob down and fix Disney, where it's making money again and get rid of this identity politics bullshit. That was why that was released, that little colorful email that he sent out with the
And if
guide.
you know, Elon's also offering to take on more lawsuits. So I think he's trying to bring the value of Disney even further down.
Yeah.
Make it
Also, yesterday, if you didn't catch it
No.
in one of his interview, he says, I wouldn't mind putting some more money into another company.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm looking to see what companies I can acquire or something to that effect. Then he made a
I'm
face.
telling you, dude. Elon just makes me giggle like a little girl.
I know, right?
He was in public with Nelson Else, who already came out, and wants to take over the board and fix all this.
Yeah, and Nelson has another person in his pocket. I just forgot his name. Hold on. Of Marvel.
Are you talking about Perlmutter?
Yeah, Perlmutter. Ike
Yeah.
Perlmutter is another person that he has brought forward. Ike Perlmutter and he are close friends with 45. And I'm just telling you, we're seeing some cool ass shit. These are the days that we've been waiting for to happen. I know that Keith and I put a lot of merit into Sherry Redstone taking over CBS, because he and I predicted that she was going to right the ship and bring because she made it clear that her interest was in bringing Star Trek back to CBS.
My God. Well, I mean, not this Star Trek, but real Star Trek.
She wanted to bring she wanted to undo what her father and Les Moonves did by breaking up Star Trek. She wanted a reunification. In fact, we made the joke at the time. You watch, she's going to bring about reunification, just like
Reunification.
Star Trek.
What's it?
Great.
I think there was a Star Trek video game called something like that.
Well, yeah, it's based on the story reunification from Star Trek Next Generation, where Romulus and Vulcan were going to reunify.
Well, it was it was a really good episode, and it has Spock, and it introduces. Yeah, it was better than any of their movies by a lot. Just like yesterday's Enterprise is better than any of their movies, but this one, it also part 2 has the honor of dropping the new reimagined Denise Crosby character on us, and she becomes one of their better villains that should have been used in a movie.
He just got called albino by Monkey Jeebus, Keith.
Not far off.
You need pink eyes.
Yeah, I'm a fire hazard, man. I walk outside.
Monkey Jeebus cracks me up, man. Oh my goodness.
Monkey Vision has tunnel vision.
Hey, I don't know if they're here yet or have dropped in, but I'm going to let it be known. We're going to do at the 23-minute mark, Martin, make a note on Twitter that we're sending out happy birthday greeting to our buddy Shellback.
Oh.
And Cam's Crash Course's birthday. So this is our happy birthday message to our friends, Cam Crash Courses, and to Shellback. So here you go, man. 23.5-minute mark. Happy birthday to you. You live in a zoo. You look like a monkey and you smell like one too. That's how we sang when I was a kid.
Yep.
So anybody else who's got a birthday this week, that was your happy birthday message. Why are we still doing the celebration video background? Martin, is this your choice?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
We're celebrating Disney's downfall.
That's one thing where Teague.
Leonardo only plays New Yorkers. It's weird.
I go back and I love his performance as Howard Hughes, but God damn it, he was too short to be playing Howard Hughes.
He
Yeah.
was good in that though. That was a great
But
movie.
he is really
Yeah.
good.
Really good movie.
Oh,
There
look
he
at
is.
that.
Hey.
Can we see your bedhead?
I just to let you know, I called you on the show. I called live. I said I want you guys to hear what I hear when I call Keith and wake him up.
Well, I am sorry and happy
No,
belated.
dude. You were tired. You were tired when you left me here this morning.
Yeah. Well, happy belated birthday to Bill Finger, creator of Batman. Oh, I'm sorry. Real creator of Batman with
How do
the
you
other
refer to
guy.
that? It's not belated. Is it belated for somebody that's dead?
Posthumously belated?
Posthumously belated birthday. Yeah, posthumous. I think that's the way to go. Thanks. So I knew there was like something else you got to add in there. But yeah, Bill Finger, the real guy who visually created Batman.
Yeah, well,
I
he's
love-
the creator, and Bob Kane is the guy from whom he drew inspiration from.
I've seen the documentary,
Oh,
Did you
really?
watch that? It's a really good documentary about
Yeah.
Bill Finger.
Batman and Bill, or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's again, it's a great example of really how someone can easily be taken advantage of, and he was taken advantage of by Bob Kane. I mean, there's no coming back from that one. You know,
Yeah.
to only have half a paragraph in your biography dedicated to basically saying out loud, well, maybe I should have treated him better. And
Time wounds all heals. I learned that when I was younger. The best revenge you can have is success.
And how depraved do you have to be as a human being to let someone die homeless like that?
Oh gosh, that's the worst part.
Yeah.
That really is the worst part.
Check your microphone. I think you're coming through the wrong microphone. You sound like you're talking through a tin can. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Hang on. All right.
Yeah. Just go into your settings and let's see which mic is picked. Keith, let me get you up to speed. So we've been talking about Gina Carano, the lawsuit. That this suit, the way I'm interpreting from everything I've seen on Valiant Renegade and what I've read so far, with the information that's available to us about Elon Musk, what's going on with him, his not so veiled threats to Bob Iger, that for her, this is her attempt to right the wrongs, get her character back, be brought back to Disney Star Wars, and to fix what they did, to get Leslie Headland fired because she was directly involved with this. That these emails are going to get released. I believe that Elon has access to them. Some of them may be from herself.
Yeah.
Because this is the big thing. And this is something to take, that these emails will come to light due to a little thing called discovery.
Which is the reason why it's for $75,000.
I think this is why she's doing it.
Well, no. I mean, the amount of money that they're asking for is the minimum you can ask for it to get kicked up to what she's wanting. Yeah. And as far as getting back onto the show, personally, I don't even think she really cares one way or the other.
I think she cares what Jon Favreau created. And I said this before, that Jon Favreau, when the announcement came of this movie, he was one of the first people he called. Because he doesn't have Carl Weathers anymore, dude.
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is this. Let's just say that before there's a trial, that KK and her people are going to go ahead and start production on this. So depending on when the trial ends, because Disney and their lawyers are really famous for, keeping things going for a while. I seriously think that if this should somehow get to trial just within the next couple of months, it's not really going to stop production. I think KK and her people are
are slick enough to be able to at least get production over with long before anything should happen. And unless you're talking about the ability to be able to change everything during that time, let's say even if the trial doesn't take, I mean, if somehow the trial takes a month, which I seriously doubt it would, you're never really going to be able to stop production unless they can get an injunction to postpone production until after the trial is over. And even then, there was something that they were saying today on Midnight's Edge that a lot of this resistance and a lot of what is going on with Bob Iger, in the possibility they could attempt to be buying back shares of the company in order to protect what they have. Disney's the biggest get for the people who believe in DEI. I mean, it is a huge get. Do you think that all of the time and effort and money, the very fact that they've infiltrated all these other studios, that they would let Disney go that easy? I don't think so.
BlackRock's going to be the only thing fighting for it, but even BlackRock's in financial trouble.
I know, but there's the possibility they could get away with trying to buy back all those shares. Personally, I don't. I that's an extreme thing, but not out of the realm of possibility. And at this point, they could be wanting to fight to the very end to keep Disney. If they let everything else go, they could want to fight to the very end because Disney is attached to so much that still allows them power. And in the end, think about it. You got ABC, you got ESPN, you've got all the other stuff that Disney's attached to. This is a
Let's
huge
bring
get.
up ABC again because this is interesting.
Yeah.
That we have another person threatening to join in this lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Is Roseanne Barr.
Yes.
And I guarantee you she's got some emails.
She probably does. She probably does. Look.
And once again, those things will only come to the light of day because she can't just arbitrarily release them, just like Carano can't. Release those are privacy. There's privacy with those emails. But guess what? When you go into discovery with a lawsuit like this, everything's made public.
Here to me is the biggest thing, though.
Okay.
You want to blow this thing wide open? This is what Elon
That's what
Musk,
she said.
This is what Elon Musk could do. What Elon Musk needs to do is with him and the people that are still working at X, okay, that have been there for years.
Right.
They need to go and find all of Leslie Headland's emails. I mean, all of her tweets.
This goes back to what I said earlier in the half hour. I said she's going to be the one that's thrown under the bus.
That's right. If they can get her and turn her, she can pretty much take down not just only Lucasfilm. She could probably take down not only just Disney, but quite a few other companies, quite a few other people that are part of this whole DEI mess. This would extend into other companies right now. And so you take down Leslie Headland, she'll turn, she'll flip on everybody. Because those I think it's 5,000 tweets that she mysteriously got rid of that they didn't even talk about until the day after it had already been announced that she had joined Disney. And given what she used to do, she's connected to quite a few powerful
who she
people.
worked for
And what her actual assignment was. She may not have actively participated in the physical portions of it.
She was a groomer.
But she did a lot of stuff as far as, well, I better say allegedly. Allegedly
a groomer.
Allegedly just participated in various things and had discussions with people. You get a hold of all of those tweets, this case gets kicked over into a whole new thing.
I'm telling you that this is an exciting time to be alive, my friend. We're going to be living in this when this went down.
Yeah.
We're going to see a lot of heads roll. We're going to. And before this is over, a lot of heads, some of whom we don't like, their heads are going to roll. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
I will tell you this.
I'm worried about you, other Keith, right now, because that light is awful bright on you. Is it burning your skin? I called him albino a few minutes ago.
Wow.
I'm so glad to have him back. We missed you.
Jeebus did, not you, Gary.
Oh, we can't hear you at all, Keith. Yeah, your audio is not coming through. Nope. Nothing.
Oh, I was going to say.
He's going to leave and come back.
I was going to say, I'll offer to jump out in case there's a Keith in, there's too much Keith in one thing. I'll jump out and let
Pop Culture.
There's never enough Keith.
There's never
all
enough
Keith all the time.
KK is a good sign. It's a good kind.
Yeah.
Hello, War Monkey.
Is it fixed?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yay.
I figured I better just ditch out and come back. I don't know what happened because I didn't touch any.
I didn't. That's what she said. So basically, this is going to lead to heads rolling, and I'm curious who it's going to be. I believe Bob Iger is going to survive this, but I think he's gone.
I think he's going to run. I think he's going to settle out of court with her and run like hell.
Agree.
I'm talking about the Elon Musk aspect of this. Because this is a power play. All of it coming together at the same time, this is a power play. This is a move by Elon Musk to make his moves with Jeff Bezos and not Jeff Bezos. What's his name?
Nelson
Peltz, and even Ike Perlmutter, man. Yeah. I'm telling you, this is a power play because Ike wants Marvel back.
They want to make Disney great again.
Well,
he wants to make Marvel great, and Peltz, I think, wants to make Star Wars and Disney great.
Yeah,
I think. Remember what I told you when I saw you earlier today that there is an attempt now by both DC and Marvel Comics to try to.
You brought that up, and I thought that was interesting.
Bring back a lot of the talent so that their comic books are better. If Disney's doubling and tripling down on this, that's not really.
We need to make a hat.
Marvel Comics.
We need to make a hat that says "Make comics great again."
Someone posted the recent recent X-Men comic a few panels.
I saw it.
Terrible.
Threatened to cut
and also and it was a joke that was yours. Yeah, that joke was like a TV cinematic visual only joke too. It was so botched.
Dear Marvel writers, tell me you don't know how to write without saying you don't know how to write.
That was the tweet.
Is the example.
Yeah, it was the joke was there, but it was a visual joke that couldn't work in a comic. It just was not a comic joke.
Also, Wolverine's the wrong person to put that joke with because
he's acting like Spider-Man.
He's not one of those guys that threatens to cut off hands. He just does it.
Well,
whoever worked on it didn't understand Wolverine.
Well, they didn't understand comics.
Not to. Yeah,
they don't understand. They don't understand comics. There's a way that you can make Wolverine very threatening to those cops without even him saying a word. If you know anything about comics and comic storytelling, you don't even have to have Wolverine say anything.
Hey, man, they were rent-a-pigs.
I just think that the art of comic book storytelling, which, again, it is an art, the more qualified, air quotes, people that you actually bring back, the better everything will be. Because, again, it's probably been proven that while there are a lot of people who are independent and who are doing their own thing, for the entire industry to survive, DC Comics and Marvel Comics has to come back in some capacity.
And
you cannot do it without
them. By the way, here's that page. Drop the comment from Don right now.
Oh,
please. Thank you.
It's hard.
This is the page.
This was cringeworthy.
This is just not Wolverine in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't even really look like Wolverine. It's like somebody doing cosplay as Wolverine.
Activists, posing as
Frame
right.
3 is frame 2 is the very worst.
Did you rob the bank? Like, why would Wolverine ask that? Oh, this is such a stupid.
He's being quippy in a way that like it's like movie fast talk, and they're trying to make it happen in a comic, and it's not doable. They're just doing things that are not. He wrote it's his movie pitch or something.
Yeah,
That's and again, you know,
And an
you're right.
ACAB moment.
Because what's going on here? The joke is, we didn't rob a bank. Wait, you didn't rob the bank, did you? I mean, that is a great joke, but not for Wolverine.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
He doesn't act like
out
Bill
of
Murray.
character. You have to write in character. This is something you learn from great writers that we admire, and some of them we know in person, like Mike Barron and Chuck Dixon are friends of ours.
Well, you got to write for the character that, look, again, whether it's comics and, in my opinion, even film and TV, you are basically renting these characters. You may be the
Harlan Ellison
person.
couldn't understand that.
Yeah.
Keith, you're just going where I was going to go. Like these people think they have to put their own stamp on something they didn't create.
Mm-hmm. You are renting characters. Is all you're doing. Eventually, because it isn't your character, you got to give it back. It's not like you're going to spend the rest of your time on this planet doing nothing but writing this one character for this universe and do whatever you want. You can't do that. There's very few people that can do that. George Lucas, for the rest of his life, could change up all the Star Wars characters that he ever created. Now, you may not like it. A lot of us may not like it, but guess what? He's the creator. He can do whatever he wants. You know, same thing with Roddenberry if you'd wanted to. Same way with
this is something known. I'm going to harken back to the 19th century. That is a hard lesson for creators to learn. That if you create something that becomes very popular and beloved by a fan base, you don't fully own it anymore. You think you do, but you don't. And a gentleman that learned that the hard way was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle with Sherlock Holmes. He killed Sherlock Holmes, and it damn near ruined his career.
When the Queen of England orders you to bring a character back, or at least hints that they are looking forward to new adventures.
I hope you bring him back soon.
Now,
I would sure hate for someone to behead you.
The proper response, a more modern day response would be, you know what? As much as I would like to, no. Now, the real response was, yes, Your Majesty, and he proceeded to bring the character back, but he never put his heart into it. You could tell from those tales from then on. From that point on, he was telling stories, but he wasn't really telling stories, and there's something that you lose when you make someone do something that they're not wanting to do. Creative or otherwise.
Monkey Jeebus's comment that the Queen of England was the original Kathy Bates in this reading.
God damn it!
We're talking about Elizabeth II, right? Not Queen Camilla. She was the queen when Arthur Conan Doyle was alive, right?
Queen Victoria.
Keith, I think a great example of
Queen Victoria
stewarding someone else's IP and taking care of it was how Rick Berman respected what Gene Roddenberry set out to do.
He wanted to make changes because none of the writers agreed with Gene.
Right.
That there's no conflict between the characters of Star Trek.
Right.
He kept saying
Berman
that. And it's like,
that's
the greatest driver of drama. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I agree. That's
why
he
kind of started doubling down on his own methods and being a little bit of his own kind of writer after he had the problem with the motion picture where he doesn't get to be part of the next movie. Right. I think he might have become like really hung up on some stuff. Well, he still does great stuff though. I love his stuff.
Well, hold on a second, guys, just for a second. I'm sorry. We've had some people pop in. I want to say hi to him because I hate ignoring our chat. War Monkey is here, which means that this is a House of Monkeys right now. It's officially a House of Monkeys.
Damn.
Sox Bulletin is here, our dear friend, who is, I love what he's doing. He is keeping Mikey Sutton alive for so many of us. And we love you, Socks. Thanks a lot, buddy. Deeply appreciate it. Monkey for always finding a way to make me chuckle is here. Lady V Elements is here too, but also our dear friend, my dear friend, Dead Man Walking is here. Looks like you can't stick around. Can't stay. You're hanging with your mom. Got it, man. I know you didn't picture this, but Dead Man Walking is a mama's boy.
Heck yeah.
Nothing to be ashamed of.
Keith was too, by the way. That's what that heck yeah was for.
I still am.
I will proudly claim that title.
If you're smart, you're a mama's boy. Because mothers, look, talking to a black man about his mom. I mean,
that is something I learned as a kid. You don't do, because this one kid, Tommy Pasgalupi, a little Italian kid, I'm still friends with to this day. He said to another kid in our class, and we didn't see race, we didn't see that, and so he turned to him and quoted the TV show. You remember what was popular back in the 70s? It was Mama's Place. What was it? It was, and the line was "Yo Mama." Remember that?
Oh gosh, yeah.
And he, a little Italian kid, said that to a black kid. There was a fucking riot at that school. That's when I got punched in the throat by a close friend of mine who later said he never did it. And I'm like, I watched you punch me in the throat.
That there's a disconnect automatically. You know,
it's kind of it's the whole mob thing. Because all they saw was that this guy was disparaging this guy's mom, even though he really wasn't.
Yeah.
How long did it take for the Italian guy to win? I've seen all the Rocky movies.
No, that Italian kid got his ass handed to him. The reason I got involved was my buddy George Herlock, who's still a friend of mine to this day, Bubba Herlock, Doug Foster, Bennett Sumner. These are all friends of mine still to this day. We got around him to keep him from being kicked to death by this crowd because they lost their minds. They were going to they wanted blood.
Yeah.
And we got him into school, and I got punched in the throat by a friend of mine in the process, but we still managed to get him in there. And then we got punished by the principal for doing it. And I'm like, and this is why Mr. Blaylock and I became enemies, because he was doing it to calm things down. And I understand that now through diplomacy, but I didn't when I was like 10 years old. I didn't understand that shit at all. And he paddled us. And I'm like, fuck you. So he and I had odds all the way. And that's why one of the main bad guys in Vindicated's name is Blaylock. He's named after my principal because I hated that guy. So, and I feel bad about it now.
He was no Mr. Belding, huh?
Yeah. Sox bulletins. Hey, all. Thanks. I really do miss Mikey Sutton. I miss Mikey Sutton too.
There's an empty cavern in our life.
Yeah.
That you and I were so directly involved with him on a daily basis. And
I will forever owe him because he did something for me that I don't think I
could ever do.
I was gonna say not very many people could actually do what he did, and getting me written up over in England in a newspaper because of something I said when talking about a scoop that he had given us did that.
Yeah.
And it was something I was proudly able to tell my parents, and especially
that's
my
right.
mom.
We did. We got written up about it. I remember.
Yeah. And so that was the first time I ever heard Tom Connors ever talk about me on his show. Of course, he said something disparaging, but you know what? I still love Tom. So I still love him.
Tom's my buddy.
But it's, again, this entire situation is something that, in my opinion, never really needed to happen. I understand what those who are fighting for what they're fighting for, and I'm down with it. I am so down with it. But there are other ways to go about this. You didn't need to try to sink everything just to get what you're getting. You know, there are a lot of people who want to see right done by those who feel wronged. but there are other ways to go about it. And as you slowly see them start to even eat their own in terms of seemingly now getting rid of a lot of older talented people, especially a lot of people that just happen to be gay now are getting frozen out. And it's just like they are trying to whittle it down to just a very few. I mean, this one way or another, I expect within the next 3 years that all of this stuff is either going to get worse or it'll be over one way or another.
You've
And I
declared
think,
tipping point.
I think
we've
he's
reached
right.
that because you're starting to see people who probably never expected themselves to be outside of this issue now outside the issue. They are starting to go after anyone who seemingly isn't all in on what they're doing. They don't care now who you are. And once you see a movement start to eat its own.
Yeah, well, a house divided cannot stand. So
yep.
And what you see is also with and I'm going to say this with leftists in general, there is no such thing as loyalty. They will eat their own.
Yeah, once loyalty goes out the window.
And this is why, so many of my liberal friends, yourself included, are so anti-leftist. Because that's all they are. They're socialists. And the whole thing with BLM and with Antifa is they live off of the socialist ideology. In fact, if you read the original BLM manifesto, it's straightforward communism that they support. It has nothing to do with race.
Good news is they'll definitely fail using that playbook.
It's Maoism.
Well, they use race to do what they're doing. And that is, it's like, what's his name? Black actor says, who have they helped? Name one black person that they've actually helped.
I'll tell you something else that I learned from Midnight's Edge this morning. It was something that was put up by one of the panelists who just said, look at it this way. You have now seen Marvel use a lot of people of color as villains. And if Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards, which he is, there's a good possibility, given a lot of the stuff that's been dropped or hinted at in that script, because of so many people who they approached for that role who turned them down flatly because of the direction they wanted to take Reed Richards in making him the bad guy, the villain, the simp. That if they follow what they did with that character with the Ultimate Universe, that basically all Pedro Pascal is doing is just signing up to become the bad guy.
And I think that Pedro's proven time and time again that he has no loyalty.
Even if that is, I mean, it's like you've now decided to take another person of color and basically make them the bad guy. Whether you're talking, Wakanda Forever, or what you're looking at as far as where they were originally building with Ant-Man, the Wasp, and Quantumania, or Loki, or now possibly with Reed Richards. This is building towards something that is not good. And I've been shouting that out for a while now, that if you really believe a lot of what they're saying as far as who the bad guys are, why do you need to make them why do you need to race swap a lot of these characters?
They do with all gingers in film.
But
Except
that just
Erin Kellyman from Willow. She's the one who's in everything. She's in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yep. She's in Solo. That is their chosen redhead. But she has a few other traits that kind of take that out of the play.
Yeah.
And Lady V says it here. They thrive on contradiction. It isn't race, it's gender.
Hear, hear.
It's an unfortunate thing. I mean, again, this could have been. I keep pointing this out to everyone that supports what Disney's doing. where's Luke Cage? Because we can't keep now going down this road of saying we got to wait so long until all of the characters that were originally used on Netflix. We've gone past that point now. There's absolutely no Luke Cage. None of the characters tied to Luke Cage. I mean, you could increase the number of at least black characters within Marvel like that, and we're not doing it. There's absolutely no sign that they're even going to go down the road to have the Blue Marvel. With all the problems they had getting Sentry cast.
What they're doing, though, instead is they're race swapping characters still. Wonder Man. Which you heard there was a death on that production.
Yes. Unfortunately.
You know what that's
yeah, no, I just saw that today.
What's it about, Keith?
Oh, no. I don't know the actual details of the death. I know that it happened, and I know that it's providing some difficulties. I know that they're still wanting to do Blade, and the history of the rumors behind what that story was about. It's just bad. I mean, basically, you are essentially taking an actor who is a 2-time Academy Award winner, and you're writing an original story where basically it's him and 3 other women who get to basically spend the entire movie doing to him what Indiana Jones had done to him in his movie.
Here it is. Juan Osorio from Temple City, California.
Wow.
Died on the set of Wonder Man this week on Tuesday after fall from a 41 feet. Is it? No, 41-year-old. Fell off the catwalk. So that's what happened.
Hey, Sox, do you have any other information exactly about Luke Cage? Because notice, Luke Cage is a big character. You notice that you've heard all kinds of stuff about Daredevil, about Kingpin, about Punisher. They're even debating how they're wanting to use Iron Fist. Have you heard any indication?
Yeah, there's the rumor mill is that Iron Fist is going to be gender swapped.
Yes. So, have you heard any indication as to who's going to be cast? Because that still is a major character. I'm not saying I don't believe you. What I'm saying is you've heard next to nothing about Luke Cage, who they're going to cast, etc., and so forth. Nothing. So he might be a priority again, but you've heard nothing in connection as far as going out and getting whatever actors to be that character.
Michael is coming back as Cage, is what he's saying.
That's great, but you've heard nothing. Notice, you've heard next to nothing. I haven't heard anything. So the fact that you've heard that, Sox, is great. But notice, everybody knew when Daredevil was coming back. Everybody
you
knew.
and me both, Keith. I've checked out. I stopped caring.
Yeah.
I don't put anything into anything Marvel's doing. 2019 is when Marvel died for me. With the big girl team moment.
I was the only one in the theater that burst out laughing.
I heard a mixture of laughs and somebody in the back behind me going, "Oh," like that. Oh,
my friend Jack was sitting next to me. She groaned. I laughed.
Yeah, because that was definitely a groan I heard. Oh, and nobody took it seriously. We all thought it was stupid, and it was. It's just badly planned. Girl power moment.
It was a teaser for things to come.
It really was.
I just hope that what is left of Marvel Entertainment once all this is over is something that can rationally be salvaged in some way. Go ahead.
How much money can they keep losing before they go, all right, we have to go
This
back.
is what we keep talking about. 10 years they've been hemorrhaging money. Look, the old joke about women, nothing can bleed that long and not die. It's the same thing with money, with Disney. Disney has hemorrhaged money in a way that I remember back in 2021, I said to you, Keith, they can afford this right now. They can afford this right now.
You
But
did.
they really need to do a turnaround, because if they don't do a turnaround, they're in trouble. Well, it's 3 years later and they're still hemorrhaging money. It's like nobody survives this.
Everything they put out loses hundreds of millions of dollars.
And the reason why is in that Perry Chan video that's going around the internet. The one that they ended up originally debuting. Perry Chan's video is one where he put together all these clips of all these different Marvel writers recently, all of them basically saying the same thing. The fact that they, for their various projects, they never read the comics.
Yeah, I mean, there's the famous story with James Gunn telling John Cena not to read the books.
There's
DC, but still, it's the same idea.
Well, and that makes the story of Hugh Jackman all better, because the story about how Hugh Jackman
That was Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. How he got hired for X-Men, and the fact that unlike the person he had replaced, it was decided by certain members of the crew.
Oh, I forget, who was that?
That was Tom DeSanto and Avi Arad, and depending on who you ask, the person who was to deal with, he was assigned to Bryan Singer, and that was Kevin Feige. Supposedly Kevin Feige helped too, but it depends on who you ask. But anyway, technically the Marvel reps and Tom DeSanto basically gave Hugh Jackman all the comics that he needed, and had him read all of that rather than depending on the script for X-Men to be everything that he needed to know. And you can tell in their performances who's ready to go. That's look, there's no way that you cannot talk about that. That the major differences in all those performances is that one person read the comics and everybody else in the cast didn't. They depended on the script. And now we are approaching 25 years of Hugh Jackman being this character successfully. There is no greater example of what it means to actually do the work, take time to learn the character, and be in it.
Ryan Reynolds did the same thing.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds was just a fan.
Yeah,
he was just a straight up fan.
Right, but it
Wesley Snipes
shows the material. I mean, it's obvious.
Yes.
I think Wesley Snipes is in that category too, as far as the quality of the performance we got from him.
But also Ben Affleck. People keep wanting to forget he was
absolutely.
I remember, he was talking about Batman even before he was ever Daredevil. He was talking about Batman.
Mallrats.
And
I wish he'd been allowed to write it. I wish he had input in writing it.
No, his script, from those that have read it, we got robbed, according to them. That is an incredible script. And it's we got robbed.
When he makes a movie, it's usually pretty good, and people don't really like The Last Duel, but I just watched it again, and I enjoyed it again. It's a pretty good movie. Ridley Scott is not too out of control.
To me, the one thing that could happen that would really be cool would be to allow Ben Affleck to do it the way that he wanted one more time, and to have his own Batman movie. Nothing against Henry Cavill or anyone else, but to have a Batman movie just be Ben Affleck, written by Ben Affleck, would
want him directed too?
No, he doesn't need to direct it. He basically he had reached a point where even he at one time was done with directing. As far as doing this project, I wouldn't put that on him unless he really was asking to do it. I'd find somebody else to do it. And I would tell that director, don't even deviate. Just
stay on point.
Stay on point. Make this movie. And
you would have Affleck
popping in right now. I've got to interrupt. Vinkman's Girl is here. Six joined us.
Hello, Six.
And Shinatsky is here. I already played his banner. But we do have Tim is here. And Tim,
Hello,
here's
Tim.
your video.
By what name are you known? There are some who call me
Tim.
That right there is a great example of a lot of the younger actors and people of note nowadays and how they talk.
That right there is a good example of a combination of a Star Wars and Star Trek into one name.
And by the way, all of this discussion has me thinking one word. And do you know what that collective word is?
Reciprocity?
No!
I like my word better.
Gerry, there's another video we need to play because we're past
for
the
whom?
top of the hour. For your comic book.
All right. Jesus, there's a lot of videos. All right, here's our first hour break.
Meet the Seattle Vigilante. Like so many comic heroes, this warrior hides his identity. But his identity isn't the only secret he has to keep. After grievous wounds received during combat, Tier 1 operator John Russell begins to recover and comes to terms with his new reality of being an amputee. And as he learns how to use his new prosthetic limb, he finds himself caught up in the bureaucratic red tape that too many wounded veterans experience, the exhausting medboard process. Out of sheer frustration, John takes it out on the criminal scum of the city. But when reality kicks in, John realizes he started something that's having an impact on the greater world around him, and thus has to reevaluate his motives. And moreover, just how far is John willing to go to finish this war he's declared against the criminals in Seattle? And will he even survive? From the creator of IDW's award-winning graphic novel Code Word Geronimo comes a new story about a different kind of warrior, Vindicated Inc., the first of its kind disabled veteran action hero comic. The Vindicated Inc. graphic novel crowdfunding campaign on fundmycomic.com is provided in the description of this video. We hope you become a contributor. Please share this link. Thank you.
There you go. A book I'm still steadily working on. By the way, I do like Tim's comment here. So last week, someone said to me at work, Tim, why don't you swear? And if you did, what would you say? I showed them the 7 words you can't say on TV, and they laughed, by George Carlin. What was it? Shit, tits, cocksucker, and what was it? Oh, I can't remember all the words. I just remember laughing my ass off at that skit.
It's only 3 now. I think you can say everything else.
I don't think there were ever. I think he made up the thing whole cloth. It was just a really good comedy routine, and it turned into be more or less accurate. Is it an accurate observation?
Yeah, you're right. Probably.
Yeah, George was an observer of society. Mm-hmm. It's so funny because early on he was a big liberal, and he had great liberal stances that he agreed with, and that some of them I agreed with, some of them I didn't agree with. But the fact is that all ended when he got in. By the time he hit his 50s, it was over. And he claimed to be a person that saw that the world was going down the drain, and he just wanted to step back and watch it. And I'm like, that's a sad damn state of affairs when you've lost all hope in society. I refuse to lose hope that we will somehow work this out, because life is that ultimate movie, man. Life is that ultimate movie where I'm always rooting for the good guys, which is us. Let's see, what is this? DC was such a massive hurry to get the Justice League film that they honestly sacrificed Affleck's Batman from getting the requisite 2 films he really should have gotten.
But we got the Flash.
Well, yeah. Let me correct that. The people who owned Warner Brothers ran Warner Brothers at that time were the ones that were really interested in it, and they were willing to wreck everything to get there.
Walter Hamada,
not Walter. This is before he even got hired.
Oh, before him, Kinject.
This is Warner Brothers itself, because they had originally wanted Chris Nolan to become the Kevin Feige of what they had, which makes no sense given the power that Kevin Feige has and what his job title was. There was no way anyone could have stepped into that role because Warner Brothers was not willing to give anybody, especially a comic book fan, that kind of power to do those movies. Everything that Warner Brothers was trying to do was sabotage from inception because they weren't willing to find one person to give that kind of power to. Even when Walter Hamada got hired, he didn't have that kind of power. He had people that he had to answer to. Kevin Feige never really had to answer to anyone but one person. One. And that was Ike Perlmutter. And his job, as mandated from the creation of Marvel Studios, was that Marvel Studios was created to take all of the IP and characters that Marvel had and to basically just promote them by making good translations of the original material. It was meant to be a part of Marvel Entertainment. And notice the company is so badly ran now because everything revolves around how Marvel Studios and the MCU does things now. It's the complete reverse of what it was started for. Because Marvel was sick and tired of all these studios getting hold of their characters and doing them badly. That's really the original purpose of Marvel Studios. And now
The
Marvel's
irony.
now
they're just as bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's taking you're now, because of Kevin Feige, who was the one in charge who instituted the rule that no comic book fans, no fans of the material are to be hired as writers for any future projects going forward. That's what Nate Moore revealed in the Hollywood Reporter interview when he was when they were putting everything together for Wakanda Forever. And I remember turning to Gerry at the time when that story came out, and I said that right there, that's your game changer. Because if that's true, Marvel just basically screwed themselves from here on out. And they have.
Well, you and I fell for that shit with Kevin Feige.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
He wanted to get rid of Ike Perlmutter because Perlmutter was keeping him from doing what he wanted to do.
Yeah. We now realize what he wanted to do.
He lied.
Perlmutter
was actually protecting Marvel, trying to keep it profitable.
Yes. And that's all he really wants. You could still look, many of the things that the people who are running things right now wanted to do, you probably could have done if you'd found a different way of working with everyone. You could have promoted certain stories if you were willing to do the homework and to work within the limitations, quote unquote, that were set, like Terry Metalis did. He took a whole lot of BS and gave us Picard season 3.
Bye, Dark Praxis. Have a good show.
Have a good one, Dark Praxis.
Great name.
And he did the impossible and created something, that was fantastic considering what had come before with K-Trek. So, of course, unfortunately, now he has to pay the price because somebody's ego couldn't take the fact that Picard Season 3 is the most successful single season of New Trek ever.
And amazingly, and this goes back to something Eddie Murphy said a long time ago, that if you were starving and somebody gave you a cracker, it would be like the best cracker you ever fucking had. Remember that joke?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. They ain't no just so saltine. That's a rich cracker. That's what Picard season 3 was, because it's still not good.
It's if you look at what it was.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you for saying
not
that.
written all that well. It's
written very badly. But he
agree.
did the best he could with what he had.
think the actors were great, slipping right back into their roles after all
Mhm.
these years. But as a story, it was a hackneyed mess, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I question Patrick Stewart on that as far as slipping back into his
Patrick
role.
Stewart
I thought he
showed
was
that he's
bad
no
and
fan.
different.
He's no
Yeah,
fan of Star
he
Trek.
scoffed at me too much for me to buy into his character, and also his choice of playing the robot with an aged voice. Like, I thought he just got old until I saw him doing an interview, and it's like the normal voice, and I'm like, we could have had Picard speeches in your normal voice, but we get this weird crossplay of yourself where you like just couldn't wait, like the Harrison Ford syndrome, to go destroy the character we loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford, it's been said the reason why he hates Han Solo so much is because he's too much like Harrison Ford. And he doesn't like
Which Han Solo, the cool one or the idiot?
The cool one. Well,
he's Unfrozen Han Solo. Yeah, Unfrozen Han Solo is Harrison Ford now.
Stupid Han Solo was born. When he steps on a twig and goes, "Oops," I'm like, really? That's just such a. That's why I don't like Return of the Jedi very much. It felt like
he's been both
parting of the ways with what Star Wars was so cool about.
Mm-hmm. Well, again,
yeah,
it's hard to be a fan nowadays. If you are a fan of a certain age or a fan of a particular property that's been around a while, it's hard because you're watching people who probably should take the time to learn, like a certain director of a really good Star Trek film. You should probably take the time to learn all the ins and outs of the characters before they can move forward. There is a reason why Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, which is the real name of the movie, it's not Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, it's Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. You should use that name because it basically tells you everything you need to know and is the real reason why that movie is so good. You have
again, Nick Meyer and Harv Bennett weren't Star Trek fans by any stretch. But they watched all 79 episodes.
Yeah.
They did the work. They're professional.
Yeah. You look, I know there are certain people out there that hate it when I talk about Harv Bennett, but Harv Bennett lost his darn mind when he started having arguments with Leonard Nimoy. And Nimoy basically was a lot smarter than Harv Bennett ever gave him credit for.
And sadly, smarter than Shatner. Because Star Trek V would have been, if you read the book, that's what we almost had.
Shatner should have stuck to his guns, should have done what Nimoy told him to do, and tried to do that movie without listening to Harv Bennett, and just should have put the movie out.
They also should have waited a while. I mean, that summer was jam-packed, and the ILM wasn't really available. And even if they could afford ILM, they would have got the D team. So they probably should have just waited.
Well, they also lost money. The Paramount didn't give them a lot of money for that movie either.
Budget. After having the most successful movie, Star Trek movie in their history.
And I agree with Destiny's Captain on Brandon Braga because I have problems with Brandon Braga, but I don't agree with you on Nick Meyer because Nicholas Meyer, one, is a good writer.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually a very good writer.
He's an intelligent guy. He does not suffer fools.
Great story.
He also is the guy that brought the naval aspects of Star Trek back to the forefront.
Oh, here, wait. There's one
thing he noticed about when he started watching the old episodes.
Yeah. The one thing you really got to understand about him versus
I don't know about that. I've never heard of that. Keith, have you heard of that?
No, I think he thinks it's
no. That's Nick. When he got interviewed by Tom and Andre, that was one of the things they brought out about it. But here's the thing. Nicholas Meyer is not one of these guys that enjoys everything under film. He is a really intelligent guy. I don't just mean that as to kiss his butt. I mean, he's a guy with an incredibly high IQ. And it wasn't that easy for him to do what he did, but he did it. He wasn't a Star Trek fan before he directed the movie. But
he was also coming off one feature, so he took a guaranteed job.
Yeah, he took a guaranteed job. I mean,
that is such a misreading. If that's really what he thought a Republican fantasy, it is a socialist fantasy.
Yeah,
the
thing about Nicholas Meyer is he took the time to understand the character, and then he was the one that did the final rewrite on the script before they started production. Because
what was his response to Andre and Tom, though?
He wrote it in like 12 days, too.
Yeah.
What was his response about Star Trek and liking or disliking it?
Well, I mean, the most telling thing was the fact they were the ones that had, they talked about how they asked him how he still wanted at the time while he was still one of the only people that was working on Star Trek Discovery. And he admitted to them that he didn't know that he was. He had to find out from the news that he was still on board. He thought his work with Star Trek Discovery was over when they fired Brian, when they fired the original creator of it, Brian Fuller. So he thought his time was over. And that should tell you, the kinds of people that you're dealing. He told him everything he needed to know as far as the people that he's dealing with. And he's not one of these people that's going to fall all over himself and say it's the greatest thing I've ever done or anything like that. He is an intelligent guy, intelligent enough to write things like Time After Time or The 7% Solution.
Both great.
He's also a very large ego and will
yes.
Speaking of which, can I ask a question?
Out of his
something bottom row Keith, for lack of a better term, brought up earlier.
We call him White Keith.
White Keith. Let me ask you a question. Oppressor Keith. The Star Trek V's problems are well documented. We know the problems with special effects. I'm not saying to change the story, but should William Shatner, while he's still alive, be given his director's cut since everyone else has and complete his vision? And we'll have both.
There is a social media movement for that. I don't ever give them the money at Paramount, and especially because Paramount, almost insolvent at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they treat him.
Yeah, exactly. Taking him off the post.
Very upsetting. Very upsetting.
Well, the only thing
Hold on
left.
a second. Hold on. I just want you to know, Sticks just trolled everybody just now. There you go.
I guess I'm not. Yeah, you know what? I guess I better get with it. You know what, Six? I'm going to change my outlook. Return of the Jedi was the greatest.
Amazing.
No, you know what? Honestly, I like ROTJ because of the throne room sequences and all that great dialogue. And I enjoy most of the prequels. Phantom Menace now is nostalgic and sentimental. It's not great. Attack of the Clones, I appreciate the effort in trying to fix things. Like, it's an ongoing, like, the house is still burning, but he's trying to put out a fire and, like, has someone else working on painting it. And by the last movie, I think Revenge of the Sith is possibly my favorite one to watch because it's just so... It's a really great end.
It's got the worst lightsaber battles, but it's
I like them. That's me.
They were just so over the top. They became ridiculous.
You don't like dance fighting? Come on, man.
The best sword fight, because really, Phantom Menace has the best lightsaber battle ever filmed.
Oh, geez, gosh.
George Lucas, but that's the thing we lost. George Lucas always included another element in his fights. In the lightsaber duel in Empire Strikes Back, it's altitude and wind. In Phantom Menace, we have the Tetris-like actions of, I don't know what it is, the energy field. Do we ever find out what the hell it is? It doesn't matter. It's there. It's cool. The energy field at the bottom of the Coruscant Palace. I'm sorry, of the Naboo Palace.
Well, the thing that was created for was to create a dynamic to show you the difference between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. That one was patient and the other was like a pacing tiger, like Darth Maul was. Darth Maul was a pacing tiger. Well, so is Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan was it's a great moment in the Star Wars series. That
he actually has
you get to see what Obi-Wan was before he got smart.
There's a great documentary series. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's called Icons Unearthed, and there's 6 episodes. They do different seasons. They have a Star Wars season. Marsha Lucas is on there, and it's unbelievable how she made all the best decisions.
Well,
for those original.
Well, let me. Well, I will crack back on that a little bit. There's a video that's on YouTube where this guy actually breaks down all of that stuff.
It's called Star Wars Was Saved in the Edit.
Yeah. And I would recommend that to anyone. I'm not saying that Marsha Lucas was not a part of what went right, but she was one of 3 people that were.
She was one of 3 people involved, and George was
critical
one of them
damage control, right? Would that be the right term? Critical damage control was applied to what they had.
Well, because George Lucas's edit of the film was a mess.
Yeah, Obi-Wan lived. He was
famously
like, talking to Luke on the headset, like telling him what to do at the Death Star. And
It-
she was
it-
like, "Kill this guy."
Yeah,
That's the only way it works.
Well, I mean, she was one of them. Remember, she was one of three.
Yeah,
One
Gerry
of three
Kurtz.
people.
Yep.
Because all three of them worked on it, and even though in actuality, Marsha's edit of the movie, the three of them together did the, I think, first and second pass. Then she and the other guy left, leaving the last guy to actually do the finishing touches on everything else. And so, again, Star Wars was saved in the edit. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with everyone else's names because all three
Paul
of them
Hirsch. You're talking about Paul Hirsch.
That's it, Paul
There's
Hirsch.
Paul Hirsch, Marcia Lucas were the
And-
two main people, and then you had two additional editors who worked on the film along with George Lucas himself, which was Richard Chew.
That's it, Richard Chew. In Star Wars and Saved in the Edit, it was Paul Hirsch, Marcia Lucas, and Richard Chew.
John Jimston did a little bit of editing. on it.
And okay, but the three of them were credited. Marcia and Chew left, leaving Paul Hirsch because because Marcia had another film to go to. She had to start work on.
He was one of the hottest editors at the time. Like everybody.
It was a homemade porn film.
You know,
she started
wasn't the major. Sorry, go ahead.
On Lucas. That is what that joke is.
Oh man!
Didn't she kind of? She was the person who came at him and said, "We got to lose this Tachi station sequence. It doesn't work." People.
No, that
talking
wasn't her.
exposition."
That was.
That wasn't.
Gerry
No.
Kurtz did a lot of no's.
Gary Kurtz was part of it, but the big person who
that was
tore it apart was Brian De Palma.
Oh, right.
It's very prequely when you watch the outtakes.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
That's
if
why
it
I
weren't
feel
for Brian De
so much
Palma,
truth in it.
the scroll would have been completely different. Brian De Palma single-handedly, and I don't like Brian De Palma, so it takes a lot for me to compliment him. That if it weren't for Brian De Palma, Star Wars wouldn't be what we have, because he was one of the handful of people that got to see the first cut of that film. And Spielberg was the other one. I think Francis Ford Coppola and Milius were there. And they all had their input, but it's Brian De Palma who Lucas listened to the most. And it's his changes that led to that final edit of the film that was done by Marcia and the other editors.
Star Wars is saved in the edit. That is a good video to watch. It's about 30 to 40 minutes long, but it's the best 30 and 40 minutes you will have because it explains. This guy breaks it down, and he just says, look, I'm just using history, logic, knowledge of the industry, and having, read interviews with all these people and just breaking down how it actually works. And his whole thing was that when it came to the editing and Marcia Lucas, that there's a lot of BS that rises up because people are basically trying to compliment her with being the only person and the person that, quote unquote, saved Star Wars, when in actuality, she was one of three people. And there were a lot of other people who helped out in other ways that really helped that film. I will say this.
She's the one editor, though. I will say this. She was the one editor that was the most versed in story structure.
Yeah.
Like she said at this one point, like George was fighting to put the Jabba the Hutt scene back in, and she's like, you're recycling the same dialogue.
You're recycling the exact same dialogue.
We just
That's
saw
right.
this exact conversation, and he's like, but I got to have the guy in there. She's
So
like,
when he finally got rid of her, he put the Jabba scene back in.
Yeah.
Which is redundant.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember when I went to see the special editions, I'm like, what the shit? It's the same conversation.
He was smart enough to throw Boba Fett in there to give it some kind of relevance, because that wasn't filmed originally. That Boba Fett was added in like 1996 or whatever it might have been when they did that.
Yeah. But it's again,
might even be Tamora Morrison's first time in any kind of role of that capacity.
But that brings us back full circle to how now, with what's going on, a lot of these people that are wanting to take over have no real understanding of storytelling when it comes to screenwriting, when it comes to all the basic jobs that wind up there, whether you're talking editing, when it comes to even in certain cases, even acting for a lot of them. They fail pretty much every one of what you need to have in order to have something successful. when you look at, again, I hate to keep kicking them while they're down, but when you look at how completely Marvel Studios has just basically gone from highest of highs to lowest of lows, that cannot be blamed on any outside pressure from any other films or any other people. That was a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. They did it to themselves. How
incredible. It's
with the amount of talent that they had in phases 1 through 3, and mysteriously you can't, none of these people return. None of these really creative people come back. The screenwriters that they had, Marcus and McFeely, should have been given lifetime contracts to write everything that the Marvel brand had to do. And they were even gone.
And look at the resumes on the directors they're bringing in lately.
Oh,
an independent documentary or a little, little talky independent film, and that's it. That's now they're giving them a $200 million blockbuster to deal with, and then you wonder why they spend another $150 million on reshoots. And oh my,
yeah, in no version of any of this was this ever going to be successful, given what they were doing. You cannot have a film budgeted at, say, 125 million, yet go on to spend an additional 150 million on top of that without it being a much, much better film. But instead, you end up spending all that money and make something worse.
And then lose 200-300 million.
Oh, I mean, and every single one of them done it. Again, they've had to change their plans. Remember, Phase 4 originally was meant to go on for another year or two. According to their original plan, we should still be in Phase 4.
And I got to tell you, I wish that was still what was happening, because it's so bad what happened.
Oh man,
Phase 4 ended up so bad, and then Phase 5. Phase 5 is going to be better. It's going to be better, but it's run by the same people that made Phase 4. I don't get it.
There's no real difference.
Don says, "Here's to Mikey Sutton," and I agree. I live to drink to that myself. And you know what I miss about him most, Keith? How he would give me a stroke at 1 o'clock in the morning. He would message us privately about the shit that's going down.
Yeah.
And this really happened. Anima was there for one of them. I'm like, what? No. What?
Yeah.
No. I lost my freaking mind.
After that, I told Mikey he's not allowed to do that to Gerry.
He has the gall to go have a stroke and die himself. I miss him so much.
I feel a little cut off when it comes to learning and understanding what's going on. Mikey was very good at explaining, hey, this is what I know, this is what I've been told, and there were a few things that he told us that we actually held on to that we never talked about. We were very good at keeping secrets because he told us to.
Absolutely. Now that he's dead, we can say them all.
Yeah, he was actually 6'9".
Yeah. He's very threatening and menacing in real life.
Yeah, he threatened to basically just beat me up one day.
Don't make me throttle you, Keith. I will breakinate you. No, he would say things, and he would let you know that please don't talk about it. And we would honor that to the hilt. We would never mention things. And it drove me insane sometimes, because these are things I want to be able to talk about.
Well, you and I could only talk about them amongst ourselves.
It's like when I let you guys know way before it hit the media that Bruce Campbell was working on Sergeant Rock. Because I knew about that like months before that was released publicly, and I couldn't say a goddamn thing, because if I had, it would have hurt Josh, and I won't do that. I would never do that to him. But then the news came out, and I was like, oh, now everybody knows. Fuck.
It's it again, I miss him. I really miss him. I just miss talking to him and just being a fan with him. I liked our
Yeah, because
fan
he was a
talk.
nerd.
Oh
He was a
God,
real
he
nerd.
was. And it was it's refreshing to talk to someone who's as much of a nerd as he was, and was so excited about some of the new opportunities that he was getting. New things like Dreamwalker.
Which now I'm worried. Like, is any of that stuff going to continue with him?
I have no idea.
Because they're going to develop one of his ideas into a show.
I think the person to ask is Bomb
Messiano, yeah.
But and again, to you, Bomb, buddy. Yeah, it's just it's a different world without Mikey Sutton, and I know that there are some things going on now that I think he would have an inside access to. I genuinely believe that we probably would have had a few more major scoops for this show if Mikey were still around. He would have given us great insight into what's actually happening right now. The stuff that they're discussing with Film Threat, the D-Files and various other things, I think we would have at least had insight to at least some of that stuff. But more importantly, though, it's just missing him as a person, as a friend. I don't think our show would be half of what it is without him. We did a lot of good stuff, and a lot of that was because Mikey helped us when he didn't have to. He didn't have to do what he did.
Bugged me a lot when he would get attacked by people.
Yeah.
He's not that accurate, and I'm like going, he's batting 1,000. He's your problem is you think that everything he says has to happen now. And the fact is, a lot of these things could be 2-3 years down the line before it's going to come to fruition.
Yep.
Before you see it. And there's no question there's potential that things can change too. So you and I got to see, behind the curtain with him, what was going on.
Especially the stuff with Zaslav.
Was. Yeah.
The stuff with Zaslav that he would let us in on. And
there's a great disappointment for me. Zaslav was so on track, man. And then fucking Saffron and Gunn. And I'm like, not going to be what you're thinking it's going to be. I still have no faith in them.
They're still chasing.
Yeah. It's good. Look, I agree that Gunn should just stop announcing anything. I agree with Tom when he says what Gunn should have done was they should have waited until after all the movies that had already been made, that were made before Zaslav got there, that were made on purpose because they knew, a lot of these people knew that what they were making was not good. They should have waited until after Aquaman was officially out before they made any major announcements about what was coming next.
Amen.
And let fans, even of the Snyderverse, have their moment, and then have Gunn just start with, okay, this has been great. Now we're on to something new. And we would like to announce we're making a Superman movie. It'll be Superman Legacy, and here's your cast. That would have been a positive uptick. Because now, we know, and we're watching the cast, and nothing against all that cast, but making announcements for other movies and other places that you want to go doesn't really fill a lot of us with.
Yeah, when you fire Henry Cavill and then hire a kid that's only a couple years younger than him,
whose shoulders aren't as broad,
like him.
Yeah, his shoulders aren't as broad. That's the other thing. He's got small shoulders.
Well, Christopher Reeve was a stick when they found him.
Yeah, he was scrawny.
Yeah, but it's not like you can send this kid.
And then Darth Vader got a hold of him.
I mean, that's the great thing about David Prowse and what he did for Christopher Reeve. He did a really good job in bulking him up. But
and it was David Prowse, by the way. It really was him.
I just think that
no, I've seen pictures of them working out.
I just think that in the end, nothing against this guy, he may actually end up being everybody, including my favorite. It just depends on.
But I just don't see this movie being as good. And I agree with Don. Superman, the original motion picture, that's still, in my opinion, the best comic book movie ever made.
It's so great.
Even with a lot of the mistakes, it's
because that's not Lex Luthor.
That's not an accurate Superman film when it comes to the comics, because again, but it's all about the presentation, it's all about the writing, and importantly, it's all about the acting. All of that together.
They got Superman right.
Yes.
Yeah, Superman was right. Lex Luthor was wrong.
Kind of like what they did with the Tobey
still
Maguire
enjoyable.
Spider-Man. That's not accurate either, but Toby got the tone of it right.
Yes, he did. And you had a director that understood that, because he was a director,
a comic book fan.
That's right.
Which is why when we go back, Keith and I have talked about this before many a time, that what went wrong with Spider-Man 3 under Sam Raimi was him being forced by
Avi Arad
to include Venom.
Yep.
And he goes, Venom is not a comic that I read. I don't know that character.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about everybody that enjoys Spider-Man, and especially for those of you under the age of 35, Spider-Man, for many hardcore fans, and I do mean hardcore fans, like me, like Gerry and a few others, there is no real Spider-Man unless you have Steve Ditko as a part of the mix. And what was noticeable was that those particular films for Tobey Maguire were all based on the Steve Ditko, Stan Lee Spider-Man stories. That was where they were going with all of that. By including a newer character in the mix, you were going outside of the formula, and you broke it.
Yep.
The studio forced him to break it.
Yep.
Because technically, you can edit out all of the Venom stuff and have a movie that fits with all the other films that they had made, the first two. The only thing that doesn't fit is Venom.
Yeah, well,
if you remove that, in fact, Mac and I talked. I'm sorry, Keith. I'll let you finish.
I was just going to also cut out the Tobey Maguire dancing scenes. Just
cut that out. If you cut out all the Venom scenes, you have a solid film.
Yes,
it's much better. By the way, I do want to address this. This is a good comment right here by Don, because this is what Tom and I talked about when we did Tom and Gerry do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We did a full episode on this, and we said, and I stand by my statement, that it is the purest, truest comic book adaptation of in a film ever made. It's the most comic accurate film ever made. Is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990, because it is the comic. They took scenes straight out of the comic for that movie. So absolutely, Don. If you've not watched that episode, if none of you have seen that episode, go back and watch that. Tom and Gerry from about, was it 3 weeks ago?
Maybe a little more. You guys went. There was 2 PhD dissertations on the Turtles.
Yeah, we went deep dive into that thing, and that's why Tom and I are friends. We like going into deep dives into these. Like this weekend, we're doing King Kong, 1976.
Oh,
and really looking forward to doing that one too. I love that movie, despite its failures. And it really is a flop. It didn't work, had all kinds of problems, but I still love that damn movie. I'm trying to see if I can find that video.
I don't know if I hate that I love it or love that I hate. You know what I mean? It's fun though. I remember going to see it.
It's better than Peter Jackson's, I think.
Peter Jackson, what Peter Jackson did is he went overboard with what he was doing, because he was doing a remake of the original 1933 film, and it was really good in so many ways. But then he went overboard and did scenes that were way too long. He did something that I commented on when we talked about it. It was a month ago. We did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on Tom and Gerry. But the thing that was missing from the original film was the connection between Dwan and Kong, that there needed to be that relationship. And that's something that got addressed in the 76 film to a perverted level, to where it's like, I mean, within the film, they kind of make it look like Kong is going to try to kills these girls by trying to make with them. And it's alluded to in
that
the
was
film.
my impression. That was my impression.
They allude directly to it by the dance scene when they're dancing there on that island. They're doing the dance, and there's a zug movement.
Yeah, it's basically the French
male
mystique
dressed as Kong.
for angry gorillas.
Yeah, and he's doing the pelvic thrust, and it's like, oh shit. But Kong, fell in love with Dwan in that, and Darrow is the original character's name. They changed it to Dwan in 76, but in the 76 version, they brought the her feelings for Kong, and finally in Peter Jackson's version, this is the compliment I give it, they made it make sense. Why he, because like, look, man, I'm going to tell you something. Unless you're fucking deranged, if a girl ignores you and doesn't like you and screams every time they see you, you just fucking walk away from them, even if you're a gorilla. And that's the flaw with the original 33 film. It's always been my assertion that movie failed in telling the relationship between Darrow and Kong. And by the time they did the version with what's her name, Heath Ledger's ex, who's gorgeous, by the way, big dish soap, she got dish eyes, huge eyes. She put that in there, and you really see that she cares about this ape, that this ape saved her. And I don't think they really showed that. She understood that as a character. She's not a character in the original film. She's just a screaming girl.
Jack Black's not doing a great job in the Peter Jackson one, though. Like, it undercuts what's going on. Like, while they're selling that point that you just made about the relationship, he's like, it was Beauty that killed. It's like, oh man, like he should have looked and walked away.
He was absolutely bad casting. Even though he did a stand-up job, sometimes. I also thought, what's his name, from The Pianist? He was
Adrian Brody.
Yeah, he's not.
He did his best. He brought his talent. He brought his A game. But yeah, that part was a little tough for him to really wrap his head around.
I will say this about Adrian Brody. He should have been on the short list. Look, if with Pedro Pascal being cast as Reed Richards, I think that's wrong. If you're going to go out and try to get somebody and you're looking at Pedro Pascal, get Adrian Brody, who probably would have made a much better Reed Richards.
He's really from New York.
At least physically, you can buy him as being an uber smart guy who can get a little lost in his thoughts and his work sometimes, and sometimes will ignore his girlfriend / wife. So I'm a big fan of Fantastic Four. And
it's the first comic I ever read.
It is a testament to Jack Kirby that so much of what he did for DC Comics with Challengers of the Unknown was used to create the Fantastic Four, because all they did was just put a chick in it and made her invisible.
Yeah,
and
Jeffrey Boehm died 20 years ago, didn't he?
Jeffrey Boehm?
Yeah, the screenwriter.
Yeah, I thought he had already passed. Yeah,
he died like a long time ago.
I'm looking it up now.
Hello, right fellow time traveler. Don just got out of the singularity.
Just got out. He was part of the snap.
And it happens.
What made the Fantastic Four great was that it goes back to what you were saying earlier about conflict. The fact that they weren't this tight family unit. They quibbled and fought, and like you said, he ignored Sue all the time because he's obsessed.
It's like she was invisible.
But there's a reason for it, though. Before the accident, he was there. They were falling in love. But one of the things that, unless you read the comics, that you don't understand is that technically there's one member of the group who feels he got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, Ben.
You know, and that's Ben.
His
Ben feels he got the short end of the stick.
Mhm.
And because Ben,
Well, that's why he was always so angry.
that's right. The thing is that in the first issue of
The
Fantastic
thing
Four,
is,
is that Reed promises Ben that he will not stop until he figures it out and fixes it.
they're best friends, man.
That's right. That's it right there. You know, he made a promise, and he technically is spending the rest of his life trying to figure it out. And I guarantee you, you know, the real Reed Richards, amongst all the adventures and inventions, there's a part of his brain where he's still working on that problem. He's still trying to help Ben because he owes him massively. You know, if you can write a character like Tony Stark and be able to change that character, yeah, you can write a character like Reed Richards. Unfortunately, that's not the version of Reed Richards we're going to get.
No,
we're gonna get a simp, basically. we're
something that, you know, Pedro is really good at playing.
Yeah, he is.
I feel bad for Pedro. I don't hate the guy at all. I just think that if you continue to do nothing but accept everything that they give you, I mean, eventually you do have to. I hope for his sake he reads the comic.
You and the fucking faux pas. I mean, he's playing Reed Richards. Hope he reads.
I hope he reads.
The thing is, come on, man.
I just hope for his sake that he just spends some time doing a little research, because I think that's really the reason why he's the fourth choice. He was not the first choice. He was not the second, not the third. He was the fourth choice.
Why didn't they just stick with Krasinski?
Everyone was unhappy with Pedro Pascal. I don't think he made anyone feel better about this movie at all.
Krasinski not won over any new fans. No.
Krasinski read what they were trying to do and heard from Kevin Feige what their plans were for Reed and the Fantastic Four, and I think he just said,
"No thanks."
No.
Good luck with that. Good luck. I'll see you in the funny papers.
Because he was another one that actually resembled.
Yeah. Well,
portrayed in the comics.
I think it's like him in the betrayal of Krasinski in the
Mom.
Oh
what
God!
was that movie called? The
Doctor Strange.
Garbage, trash.
Multiverse of madness. I enjoyed seeing Patrick Stewart.
He blurts out and betrays the other character. This is once he uses his power of his voice.
He's the smartest guy in the universe.
Yes.
He becomes incredibly dumb.
Yeah.
Just nerd! That's all I got to say on that.
It is just, again, this is Kevin Feige fully in charge. He's running the entire show. Unlike
he lied and tricked us to get in control over Ike Perlmutter.
So he's fully in charge, and he's the guy running things now. So look at what he's doing. He's costing a lot of money. He's not as successful as he pretended to be, because he was being backed up by a combination of actors with talent, writers with talent, and more importantly, directors with talent, all of whom, one way or another, either were or became fans of the source material.
Yeah. A lot of the channels in our orbit were saying it years ago that he was getting a lot of help, and now it's become clear that he's pushed them all out.
Yeah,
where the real.
Well, Keith and I didn't fall for it early on. We started going, "Hey guys, just because he wears the ball cap doesn't mean he's on the team."
I think he had the idea of bringing that whole universe and interweaving the films. That might have been, his claim to fame. As far as creative decision making, they should take it away.
But things were going the wrong way when they were making Endgame. because the
yeah, everybody was thinking it was just what's her name that was doing all that. I'm like, nobody has that much power over Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige has to be directly involved with all this girl power shit.
The Russo brothers have started, well, they've been for the last year, basically just spilling secrets. And they were talking about how the biggest bombshell they dropped was basically admitting that Kevin Feige had the original plan for Endgame, and how it ended was not what we saw on the big screen.
There's been a lot of talk of that.
And
it's confirmed.
And what the Russo brothers said was that originally Kevin Feige's idea was to kill off all of the original Avengers.
Which falls into something that you were talking about a while back, is that he is trying to get away from having to pay that 25%.
Yeah,
look what's happened since that proves it. He's gotten rid of most of them in those shows.
But he wanted to kill them all because it happened to tie in with what was hinted at in Age of Ultron. When Tony has that flash of all of them dead, Kevin Feige was going to try to make that happen. And the Russo brothers said, "Look, we've already killed off. We're already killed off one person. You kill everybody else off. What do you think is going to happen to the audience when they're walking out of this theater? You know, so
it really hurts return business.
Yes, it does.
It
so
does.
they were able to
the
get
end of an era.
Which is the ironic part of all this, because we need to wrap up here.
Yeah.
The ironic part of this is everything that they did, that they've worked for, has been nothing more than pure damage to box office.
Yep.
And they've got nobody to blame but themselves. They're in panic mode, trying to salvage what they've done. And Bob Iger is one of the biggest sinners in that group. What's happened to Disney, Star Wars, Disney, Marvel. And I call shenanigans. It's shenanigans all the way. And whenever we hear the word shenanigans, we think of this.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really. Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Hey, Farva, what's the name of that restaurant you like with all the goofy shit on the walls and the mozzarella sticks? You mean shenanigans? No! Oh. You're talking about shenanigans, right?
Put those away!
And in the immortal words of our dear friend, Brian, that's 70s rock fan.
That's it. Show's over.
We're done. Keith, it was Keith, Geek Time, Keith. Great to have you back on, man. It really is.
Thanks for having me.
Man, we missed you. We really did.
I'll be around more now.
Good to see you. Teague, thanks for being here, my friend. Deleted Scenes, as always. Thanks for being here. Martin Acosta Santana, thank you for staying here despite being sick. I know you're not feeling well, buddy.
I feel
Appreciate it.
Don't worry, man. Anime God's my back.
And even though she was only part of the show up to Keith getting here, Anima, thank you for being here, because just having my girlfriend in the room with us makes me feel that much happier. And,
I was just filling in for Martine. Fuck you, Gerry.
Wow.
Oh.
I tell you guys, if you want an F-bomb, my girlfriend. She'll do the first F-bomb.
There you go.
If you let her. But hey, I did my new intro. I don't know how good it is. You guys tell me what you think. This is the new intro for my Call of Duty game days for Wednesdays and Fridays.
I gotta play Call of Duty now.
It's videos of me slaughtering teams. Because when I'm on it, man, I'm on it.
Newbie hunting. That's what it is.
That one, by the way, it interrupts it right at the end. with the music does in the logo, that I had one round left in my weapon and there was no time for a reload, and I heard the guy coming at me, and I jumped over that little wall going down, and as I'm going down, I shoot the guy and then do a reload and kill the next guy that had just respawned. I killed the entire team plus one.
You're nicer than I am, because I sometimes will just pick up their weapon and use it against them, which sometimes is even worth more points.
I've done it. I've done it. I'll look over and I'll see a weapon and I'm like, ooh, that's nice. I like the sighting system on that. And pick it up and then you kill them. The one that kills me, though, is that they've changed it a little bit, because I have 7.1 surround sound. It's that. I can hear what's going on above me, below me, in front of me, behind me, and to my right and left. I can hear all of it. Yeah. And I would hear guys up above me in the building. And back in the old days, you couldn't shoot through a floor. A simple wood floor, you couldn't shoot through it. But they've changed it. I've shot people through floors with armor-piercing rounds, and just I love that they fixed that. But
yeah, we got to play sometime, because
got to get you on there, because Martin's on there. Shinatsky joins me.
I have a habit of shooting kneecaps. I have a habit of even shooting crotches, and I will apologize.
Gary's shooting dicks all the time.
I'm a big time dick shooter, because I'm crouched when I'm walking, because like in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the new version of Modern Warfare 2, there is no such thing as dead silence through the game. You can only have it in spurts.
Yeah.
So I crouch walk everywhere. So someone will turn a corner, dick shot. Anima's just laughing. You shot him in the dick again.
I got my brother playing. I got my brother and my son playing with me. And they just hear me say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, dude. That looks bad. Look, I'm gonna go get somebody. Okay, you hold some ice to that. I'll be right back and get you. Yeah. You stay right there. Don't die on me yet.
You
know."
Yeah, it's like back when I used to play Halo. None of my friends would play with me. They hated playing with me because I would just slaughter them. And but I got out of Halo because of all the little kids playing.
Yeah,
it grossed me out. You know, nothing worse than a little 10-year-old kid. You know, I don't want to use the R word. I just raped you. And I'm like, dude, your balls haven't even dropped yet.
That's what I can't stand.
You know about graping.
That or people that come in and just drop an F and S bombs for no reason.
Hey, D. Bud Martin, why don't you clip them? Also clip when Keith kept making comments like "The Thing" and reads when he's talking about the Fantastic Four. I thought that was funny. But that's it, guys. That's the end of the show. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here. I hope everybody has a good Friday. Don't forget, you got Friday Night Frolics with Doomcock tonight. You have Nerdrotic doing his thing, and Midnight Sedge. I think they've already done theirs today.
Yeah.
And
I'm on in a little while.
Yeah.
What's that?
And I'm on in a little while.
That's right, Admiral T.
I'm saving Star Trek will take flight once again.
And I'm going to be on Friday Night Last Call.
What's that one?
It's a Troy Pacelli's Friday night show, and we're going to be watching Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh, I love David.
Killer performance by Alex.
David Mamet's my favorite screenwriter of all time.
Oh my god, I love his movie. I just watched State and Maine recently. I love that.
One of my favorite films is one that he didn't just write; he directed. Is Spartan with Val Kilmer.
Oh, great one, yeah.
And I love the story behind it. That Val was pissing and moaning that my character shouldn't be saying that, shouldn't be doing that, and he says, "Say the lines the way I wrote them, Val, or I'll call Emilio Estevez and replace you."
Wow, really?
That's
awesome. I love it.
True story. And Val would shut the fuck up and do the scene.
Oh,
what's great about State and Maine is it's about making a movie that Alec Baldwin gets in trouble on set.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that movie. Yeah, but he's a great writer, dude. Mamet, my God, that guy knows how to tell a story. He really does.
He's one of the good ones. I mean, Mamet's that good.
He really is. But that's it, guys. Everybody wave bye. We'll see you tomorrow with Tom and Gerry do King Kong 1976.
I'll tune in.
Take care. Y'all come back now. You
Bye,
hear?
guys.